Former President Trump is trying to use yesterday's landmark Supreme Court ruling to overturn his conviction in the New York hush money case. Just over a week until he's set to be sentenced, Trump's lawyers are requesting to challenge the New York verdict, saying evidence used from his time as president could fall under presidential immunity. The move comes after the Supreme Court's historic ruling that presidents are immune from prosecution for official acts. Trump calls the ruling a big win for our Constitution and democracy, while the Biden campaign says the justices, quote, handed Donald Trump the keys to a dictatorship. ABC News senior national correspondent Terry Moran is at the Supreme Court with the latest.
A landmark Supreme Court decision that reshapes the presidency and hands Donald Trump an enormous legal win. For the first time in history, the court has declared that presidents can never be prosecuted for acts within their core constitutional duties and are presumed to be immune from prosecutions for much of their other official actions. Overnight, President Biden warned that the conservative majority on the court has set a, quote, dangerous precedent.
Any president, including Donald Trump, will now be free to ignore the law.
Trump declared victory within minutes of this ruling, posting on social media, "Big win for our Constitution and democracy. Proud to be an American." The decision comes in the criminal case brought by special counsel Jack Smith against Trump for his alleged conspiracy to overturn the 2020 election, including January 6th. The question, can presidents be prosecuted for their actions in office? In a 6-3 decision, the court siding almost entirely with Trump. Chief Justice John Roberts writing, "The president may not be prosecuted for exercising his core constitutional powers and is entitled at a minimum to a presumptive immunity from prosecution for all his official acts." So those core powers, the ones specifically mentioned in the Constitution, pardons, vetoes, the duties of commander-in-chief, and more, can never be prosecuted. All other official acts, the ruling declares, are presumed to be beyond the reach of the criminal law. But the court also held presidents can be prosecuted for unofficial and personal acts. Roberts writing, "Not everything the president does is official. The president is not above the law." Now the case goes back down to the lower court judge in Trump's case, who must sift through the evidence, separating out official and unofficial conduct, to see if the prosecution of Trump can even go forward under this decision. That'll take time, all but certainly pushing the case past the November election, a key win for Trump.
You cannot allow a president to be out there without immunity.
But the court's 3 liberal justices seemed stunned. Justice Sonia Sotomayor declaring in dissent, the president is now a king above the law. She painted a grim vision of what this ruling could mean for presidential power. Orders the Navy's SEAL Team 6 to assassinate a political rival? Immune. Organizes a military coup to hold on to power? Immune. Takes a bribe in exchange for a pardon? Immune. Immune, immune, immune. She concluded, "With fear for our democracy, I dissent."
And ABC News senior national correspondent Terry Moran joins me now from our studio there in D.C. Terry, the Chief Justice wrote this opinion saying that the courts cannot inquire into a president's motive for an official action. So how will the lower courts now draw the line between what's official, what's an unofficial act, and what does that mean for addressing corruption going forward?
Yeah, those are great questions. And where is that line? Well, the Supreme Court kind of punts on that. They say this is going to be a fact-intensive, very carefully tailored to each specific situation review of evidence. And so they're letting the lower courts take the lead on that. But they do offer some general guidance. Certainly those core constitutional powers, the ones named in the Constitution, can never be prosecuted. The president can do what they want with those and can't be prosecuted. These wider area of official acts, which can include everything from speeches to calling up state officials to, lobbying or trying to rally support in the Congress, all those need to be looked at on a case-by-case basis. A lot of judges are going to be scratching their heads in the future if there are prosecutions of presidents. And right now, that's up to the Judge Chutkan here in D.C. to review the case against Trump under these vague guidelines.
Now, former President Trump is now trying to get his conviction overturned in the hush money case in New York, arguing that the jury saw evidence that would have been protected under this ruling. Now, he was set to be sentenced just next week. So what are the next steps there?
Well, the next steps now are for Judge Juan Merchan, a state judge in New York, to look at the Supreme Court ruling on whether or not President Trump's immunity under the Supreme Court ruling can help him in this case. These events in the case, the alleged payment of hush money to Stormy Daniels, now convicted for that, they happened before Trump was president, but the prosecution did use some evidence, as you said, from after Trump was president. And the Supreme Court's opinion in Trump's federal case is so sweeping, it says prosecutors cannot use evidence of the president's speeches or anything he does in office in order to prove criminal wrongdoing. Can't use his motive and can't use things like tweets, which are in this case. And so Judge Merchan is going to have to review that ruling and see if he has to knock out some of that evidence that the prosecution used to convict Trump, and if that would overturn the appeal. That'll probably delay his sentencing, which is now scheduled for July 11th.
And Trump's attorneys have invoked presidential immunity now as a defense in all 4 of the criminal cases against him. So what does this mean for the other 3, the January 6th case, the classified documents case, and the Georgia election interference case?
You know, Diane, it's going to be incredibly difficult under this Supreme Court opinion to prosecute presidents, right? First, you've got that basket of duties that they have specified in the Constitution, completely immune. And then everything else that's official, that can be remotely interpreted as official, the outer perimeter of his official duties, well, that is presumed to be immune from prosecution. The president can't be prosecuted for that. And so judges in all these cases are going to have to look at not just the charges, but the evidence the prosecutors want to bring that Trump did these things. For example, in the January 6th case, one of the things that Special Counsel Jack Smith wants to bring in is that Trump was trying to bully Justice Department officials in the accusation of prosecutors to help him overturn the election in 3 states. Well, conversations with Justice Department officials completely immune. They can't even use that evidence to prove anything. So it's going to be hard for lower court judges to see how these cases can even go forward. Diane?
All right, Terry Moran, thank you.